So these things are being set up to provide a service for evil people that want to see children tortured and raped and murdered. And if there weren't wealthy people paying for this, these criminals wouldn't be going to all this trouble to provide it for them.
Hey friends, before we begin this very important interview with former Navy SEAL Craig Sawyer, just a quick word from this interview's sponsor. Guys, as you know, crime rates are really soaring in many cities, especially cities led by Democrats. And obviously, no matter where you live, you need to be prepared. One thing you should add to your self-defense kit is the Fighter Flare flashlight by Prepper's Peak. This flashlight is a professional-grade, tactical, super bright flashlight, and it's solar-powered so you don't need batteries. It has a life-saving emergency strobe light setting, along with 4 other unique lighting modes, and it can be seen from over 500 meters away with 800 lumen. It also has a USB port to charge your phone, tablet, or other devices. It has a compass, wire cutter, and glass-breaking hammer, which incidentally makes it a handy self-defense tool as well. And you can get the Fighter Flare flashlight for 25% off by using my promo code SGT25, but supplies are limited. Go to fighterflare.com. I'll leave the link below this interview. And welcome back, friends. Thanks so much for clicking play, guys. I have back on the line Craig Sawman Sawyer, former Navy SEAL and a Marine vet, and he's got his new documentary out. Is it a documentary or a show, Craig? CONTRALAND.
It's a documentary. It's almost 100 minutes documentary. So feature film length documentary.
Hopefully many people will see it Saturday, July 25th at 6 p.m. Central on Daystar TV. Let's watch a preview.
There are about 75 cartel organizations that are controlling and trafficking women and children. Now, this is slavery. These children come from our families. It's evil.
The stories are something that the general public will never even imagine could happen.
Real men do not prey upon defenseless and precious children. Knock it off, or we're coming for you.
A Daystar feature presentation, Saturday.
Very exciting. I don't have Daystar TV. What is Daystar TV, Craig?
Daystar TV is a cable network. So just type it into your cable listings and to find the channel number that it is in your area, your region. And if you can't find it on Daystar, we always have it up on CONTRALANDmovie.com, its own website. So you can always find it there. We've offered that from the very beginning to the American populace, well, globally, at no charge as a good faith alert piece to inform and empower the people on the threat to all of our children that is child sex trafficking. And it's the fastest growing criminal enterprise on earth, and estimated at $38 to $50 billion a year now. So it is absolutely huge, and it's been kept from the American people. Mainstream news media are not informing us of the threat, so that's why I resorted to filming a documentary just to bring that alert to the people. And sadly, I had to found a nonprofit organization just to rally the money to film the documentary because the big tech crowdfunding platforms all undermined us and tried to keep us from rounding up the money to film the documentary. So we had to film an official 501c3 nonprofit org to rally the money to film the documentary to alert the populace so that we could end this child trafficking in the United States.
Yeah, it's stunning. The mainstream media is running cover-up for these pedophiles in these child trafficking operations. They literally run cover. And it's really disturbing because the truth is coming out now like never before. I just did a video featuring Blake Lively, the actress. She gave a speech in 2017, in which she talks about the horrors of child torture and child rape. It's far worse than people know. When people hear child trafficking, I don't think their minds necessarily go to the darkest places, which is good, but they do need to know the truth. I want to read a glimmer of good news here in a second, but yeah, you're right. The mainstream media runs cover for these people.
Yeah, not just the mainstream news media, but social media platforms, all of big tech, the crowdfunding they're all biased to run cover for child trafficking. And it's ugly, man. I had no idea 7 years ago that this was anything like what it actually is. And so once I learned about it, man, I really just had to throw my back into combating this. I can't believe this has been allowed to grow so pervasive in the United States, man. It's so against everything that we're about and anything that we should allow.
Yeah, and obviously it's not just the United States. It's really an epidemic in Europe. I want to read this. Good news. On June 22nd, 2020, the Dutch National Unit arrested 6 men suspected of preparing kidnappings and hostage-taking in the criminal environment. This is a translation. In a shed in Wouwsplantage, the police found 7 sea containers, these big shipping containers, guys. 6 of them were arranged as a cell in which people could be tied up, and 1 container was intended as a torture chamber. The police also found a second shed in Rotterdam, which was probably intended as a base for criminals. Craig, they also found police uniforms. They found a weapons cache. They found fast cars. This was not a one-off operation by a lone nut. This is a well-organized, well-funded organization that specializes in kidnapping people, torturing them, and streaming it live on the dark web.
Yeah, well, it's grown so big because the demand, sickeningly enough, the demand has grown that big. So there's a lot of layers of the corruption and the dark side of why people perform these horrible things on children. All of it's dark. All of it's bad for the kids. Some of it's sexual, some of it's just sadistic, and some of it's actual satanic or other religious rituals. Ancient, you heard the president say that this stuff's ancient rituals, that worshiping Moloch and these other ancient gods. It's all bad. It's evil. I don't care how you subdivide it. It's all evil. It's all bad for children. None of it should be allowed in the United States or any country for that matter. And we have to expose it and address it and drive it from us en masse. We have to, I believe that now's the time that this is supposed to be made public, that we're all supposed to be made aware so that we can make the decision. Either we're okay with this and we're going to allow this destruction of our offspring to continue and allow this evil to define us, or we're going to, having the lid of this cesspool been ripped off, see it and realize, oh my God, this is horrible. This is not anything that we're okay with, and we're going to, on the whole, denounce it and drive it from us and put an end to this in the United States. I think now's the time when that is supposed to happen. We're supposed to be alerted to it and make that decision. And that decision is going to determine the future of our nation. I believe it very strongly.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I just want to say one more thing regarding that last piece I just shared with people about the torture chamber. Those are known as red rooms. And red rooms are, well, guys, look at the Alefantis email, Jimmy Comet. He had a picture of a boxed room, a cement room, in which Jimmy Comet, Alefantis, wrote #murder. Someone else wrote #killroom. And somebody else wrote just a pile of money under a sheet. Now, the problem with all of this, Craig, is that then you get organizations, quote-unquote news groups, news organizations like Vice, saying that red rooms are just a conspiracy theory. They're an urban legend. They don't actually exist. And that's the troubling part, is that the video coming out from the Dutch police on June 22nd, maybe I'll play some of it while you're talking here in a minute, it is very real. And people do need to know. And people are waking up. But again, the big social media giants and the news media, the MSM news media, the mainstream media, they cover it all up. And that's just a bitter pill to swallow for me, man.
It's upsetting. I don't like deceit. That's one of the things that really ruffles my feathers as an American patriot and warrior, veteran. The deceit of the people that I love, the people that I fought to defend, seeing them undermined on the whole through our educational system, through mass media, through pop culture, through the mainstream news media. It really is upsetting me. Look, if you love people, Sean, you want them empowered. If you love your children, you want them empowered with knowledge on how to be safe, how to have a better life. Any leader wants their their people empowered, and it's hostile. Anybody that would deceive you and hide the threat from you is a deceiver, and that's a hostile act. So yeah, these things do exist because there's sick, dark people out there. A lot of them have a lot of money, unfortunately, and a lot of crooks will sell anything for the money. They'll make the money. The crooks, criminals gonna crim, they like to say. And look at that dark stuff. I mean, so these things are being set up to provide a service for evil people that want to see children tortured and raped and murdered. And if there weren't wealthy people paying for this, these criminals wouldn't be going to all this trouble to provide it for them. We have to attack it on all fronts. None of it's okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
deeply
God bless
disturbing.
these police officers there for doing this work and uncovering this, but it's not an isolated incident. So it's happening all around the world. It's a global problem, and it needs to come to light so that we can address it. And shame on those that have been covering for it. They all cover for it. Social media platforms cover for it. You're allowed to talk about being a pedophile all you want, but boy, if you start saying pedophile, activity, raping a child is harmful and bad, boy, you'll find yourself shadow banned and suppressed in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you'll get the trolls coming after you too in many cases. You've endured some of that. Yeah, look at this image. Can you see this right here? That's essentially a dentist's chair bolted to this shipping container. The whole thing is soundproofed so nobody can hear the screams of these children, and they're tortured and murdered on video. In the article that I was reading, in which the Dutch police shared this video and the entire article, they said that people pay a ton of money to dictate what happens to the child while in the torture chamber. Craig, there's a series of movies called Hostel, Hostel 2, Hostel 3. And those gruesome movies depict many of these same things happening, but to adults. And so I've always said that those aren't so much acts of fiction as much as they are fictional documentaries, because that is exactly what's going on. And I'm sorry to report that, folks. I know it's deeply, deeply disturbing, but this is the reality. And again, Blake Lively in her speech at the Variety event said 30 to 50 million files a day are exchanged on planet Earth. And that is pictures and videos, Craig. 30 to 50 million a day. This isn't so much a problem as it is an epidemic.
Yeah. What you see in CONTRALAND, we expose Alfred Kinsey. He was a scientist that was also a very sick and depraved man. He was a sadomasochistic pedophile, and he falsified all of his studies to demonstrate how awesome it was that children were so sexual from birth. So Alfred Kinsey apparently paid a lot of child rapists to rape children, and he noted that whenever the children would scream, cry, pass out, rape, go into convulsions, or not rape, but pass out, scream, go into convulsions, any of the things that a child would do when they're being savagely raped and harmed and traumatized, he marked down as orgasm, because in his sick mind, that's what he wanted it to be. And Alfred Kinsey went around politicking in all 50 states to soften our psychological healthcare system, our legal system, and our educational system to the idea of child rape, that adults having sex with children was somehow normal and good. And he's been pushing that normalization onto us, and it's evil in its devastation. Several generations later, after Alfred Kinsey falsified his studies, now we have the Alfred Kinsey Institute that gets millions of dollars from multiple directions. And Kinsey is wrongly celebrated as the father of the sexual revolution in all of our universities now. And we've got an epidemic of child abuse and child rape because of what that sick SOB started. So God bless Dr. Judith Reisman. She's a professor at Liberty University, and she's written so many studies and books exposing Alfred Kinsey for the monster that he actually was and the devastation that he's initiated. So I consider myself an ally for little Dr. Jude. I say little because she's like 5 foot tall, but she's a huge human being because, man, she's a champion for children like no other. Talk about moral courage. She stands up and speaks the truth. So you'll see her in CONTRALAND, and you'll see others like Bob Hamer from the FBI who went undercover inside of NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, and got 8 convictions on their senior officials.
Good.
And you'll see other members of our board as well, and all their contributions. So CONTRALAND's a powerful expose of what's going on, the realities of child sex trafficking in the United States and elsewhere, because we have to know the nature of the threat so that we can address it and beat it into oblivion so that we can drive it from us. And we've got tools on our website, Vets for Child Rescue, on how to write your elected officials, how to safeguard your children, how to watch for danger signs. So vetsforchildrescue.org is loaded with a lot of empowering information for the American populace, and you can donate to help fund our missions. We run joint operations with federal and local law enforcement, and we've got 22 arrests and warrants on child predators with a 100% conviction rate so far. And we're about to do a bunch more. So we do that with donations because we're a humble 501c3 nonprofit org. So
excellent. Guys, go to vetsforchildrescue.org. That's the number 4, vets, number 4, childrescue.org. Donate, sign up, volunteer, whatever you can do to help. This was just going to be a quick discussion because I wanted to get the word out about CONTRALAND, Craig. But before we go, should we all be very gratified that President Trump is in the White House instead of Hillary Clinton? Because I'd like to remind folks that I think it was around 2012 that Tom DeLay came out and said he saw a memo, he read a memo coming from the State Department where they wanted to normalize 12 perversions. And among those were pedophilia and bestiality. Now, this president has focused on and made it a goal to target human traffickers. And I don't know that we would have been seeing that out of a Clinton administration.
No, well, anybody that's researched Hillary Clinton and her Clinton Foundation and the child trafficking out of Haiti and Laura Silsby and all of that, they know what kind of unthinkable harm would have befallen how many more children had she gotten into the presidency. So no, I thank God that Donald Trump won instead of her. And I think Trump has demonstrated his stance, his position on the issue, and we've gotten more arrests and conviction under President Trump's administration, his first administration, than any prior president had. So it was unprecedented. And so I say good on him for that, but we really do need to just absolutely ramp it up and make this a national pastime of eradicating child abuse and child trafficking in the United States. It's evil. It has no place here, and I believe it is poisoning the soul of this nation, because my wife said to me the other day, she was in the kitchen, she turned to me and she said, with the amount of widespread harm that they're doing to the children, the entire infanticide campaign, millions of abortions, and they're selling, the undercover group that went inside of Planned Parenthood and caught them selling baby parts and all of the underground corruption and perversion that is behind the Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood and all the eugenics and white supremacy evil that's going on behind all that. There's just a whole realm of nasty corruption there. And the same people are involved in the child trafficking, the child torture, and it's just a sick realm that we have to reject and denounce. And my wife said to me, she goes, with all of that being done to God's most precious and innocent children, what did they think was eventually going to happen? What were they thinking? Well, she's talking about God. She goes, what would any father do? Eventually, you destroy and torture and murder that many of his precious children. What did you think was eventually going to happen? So I don't know what's going to happen to the United States, but I sure do hope that we rise up and reject child trafficking and drive that from us, because I'd be very concerned of what would happen to our country if we did not.
Yeah, me too. Well said. Yeah, your wife is very much right. It's Sodom and Gomorrah level.
Yeah, we've fallen off of the deep end on this. Look, none of us, I'm not fascinated by this. I'm disgusted by it. I just want it to go away. And so That's not nothing that I think it's the most no-brainer cause that anybody could have. Hey, look, let's stop people from destroying the most precious and innocent. Can we all just agree on that in these contentious times? So
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to unite over this. Be a part of something that you can be proud of, defending precious children. It's that simple. And people want to drag their politics in it. And I say, this is not a political issue. Really, at its core, stop raping children. Stop murdering children. Stop torturing children. Stop doing all these horrible things to the innocent. We should all agree on that. And I have serious concerns about anybody that cannot agree to that.
Yeah, you and me both. All right, last screen share here as we part ways. We've talked about the social media companies, the big tech giants, really running cover for these people. I find it interesting that my Twitter feed is really being shadow banned, and it's very obvious what they've done to my Twitter account. And this popped up today in my Twitter feed. Expand your timeline with topics. And they want me to follow Tom Hanks, Jimmy Kimmel, Oprah, and Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
I'm not going to editorialize beyond that, but I think we all know there's some problems with at least a few of those folks.
Look at who they promote, and that gives you your answer on what side of the fence of good and evil they're actually on.
That's right. All right, one last time, remind us, how can people watch CONTRALAND, and then tell us about donating to Vets for Child Rescue?
Yeah, man. Well, they can watch CONTRALAND on 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Daystar TV, the cable network, CONTRALAND. Or they can go to CONTRALANDmovie.com online and watch it anytime they want on whichever platform they choose. But we're excited about Daystar because that's going out to 90 million households in U.S. and Canada. So then with the organization and the ongoing mission, they can donate to support our work at vetsforchildrescue.org. And I also encourage them to learn there from the other empowering information that they have. In addition to finding the donate button and helping us, they can help themselves and their own children as well with the empowering information included there.
All right, very good. And guys, CONTRALAND, that's Saturday, July 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you're watching this on Sunday, you'll want to watch it the other ways Craig mentioned. Guys, our guest has been Craig Sawyer, founder of vetsforchildrescue.org. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
All right. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. God bless you one and all. And for real news 24/7, visit us directly at sgtreport.com. Have a great week ahead, guys. Bye-bye.
The idea that a guy can sit in the basement, make a few offhanded jokes with his former boss, Barack Obama, and otherwise say nothing of substance for 6 months, that he's a front runner in a moment of real crises in the world is a joke.